Leaders in tech are burning out at an absurd rate. Ctrl+Alt+Delete with Lisa Duerre is a no BS conversation with one of the top female executives who spent over 25 years in Silicon Valley. If you're suffering from the always-on, never good enough, will replace you today machine called the tech space, this show's for you. Here's Lisa.
Hey there, everybody. It's Lisa Duerre, and I've got some statistics today to tell you exactly why it is so important for you to be here with us. And today is all about helping you take control over your own experience, whether you're an employer and you're running your company or whether you're an individual. What I want to share with you today has to do with the impact of stress on you, your performance, not only your bottom line, but your experience in life. And there's nobody better today than I get giddy. I don't even use the word giddy. I think I'm channeling my grandmother right now, but I get so giddy whenever I talk to Dr. Irene Cop. She is amazing. And what she's going to do today is help you not just learn about this and feel overwhelmed with the data, but have some practical, tangible, real-time things we can do right now to make sure that you have the best day possible, that you understand what's contributing to your own stress and burnout, and that you actually can figure out what the next right step is, whether you're an employer spending ridiculous amounts of money on healthcare, which we will talk about, or whether you're an employee barely hanging on because you have chronic conditions that are in your way. For me, when I was burning out, my doctor told me that the number one reason that he saw people in his office was what he called Silicon Valley-itis. Okay, and that's what we're talking about today, is the unstated, unspoken contributions into your experience that you then translate into stress, which then shows up in your body, which then affects your productivity, your relationships, and your life expectancy. So today's no joke. Like, we are here today to be of service and to really not just highlight the problem, but be a solution provider. So let me tell you why I'm so excited about Dr. Irene. Dr. Irene Cop, and I'm reading this because it's so important, everybody. Dr. Irene Cop, MD, DC, founder and CEO of the Flameout Project, shows others how to gain relief and bounce back from burnout so they can amp up their productivity and success and enjoy life too. I gotta believe we all are feeling that we want that right now. With a comprehensive background as a medical doctor and doctor of chiropractic, Dr. Irene also has extensive training in acupuncture, traumatic brain injury, neurology, elite performance psychology, and stress management. You had me at acupuncture, and then we threw all that on top of it, and it's just like wowzy, right? I know how much acupuncture helped me. So she's a neurophysiological meditation instructor and contributing author for the Insight Timer with over 100,000 views of her meditations. She's a published co-author of 2 nutrigenomics research articles in peer-reviewed journals and lead author for Growth U. She's helped thousands of high-performance professionals heal themselves and reinvent their lives. This ranges from C-suite executives and business owners to doctors, lawyers, top government department heads, professional performers from the Metropolitan Opera, Cats, Porgy and Bess, and top athletes from the NHL and CFL, runners in gymnastics, top coaches, and everyday people like you and me. You can be the superhero. You can be the superhero of your own life, and Dr. Irene's going to show us how. And I know I could read more and more and more about Dr. Irene. I got to jump in. Dr. Irene, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me, Lisa. This is a tremendous opportunity and honor. I really appreciate you so much.
Oh, yes. And can I just out ourselves? So I have to tell everyone listening, I just did the 4-minute, what do you want to call this? A meditation, a performance boost, grounding. What did you do for me that we just did before we started?
What we did before we started, and maybe we should do it with your
I know,
your
right?
listeners as well, because we'll get a double dose. It is a form of active meditation that you can do just about anywhere, lying down, sitting, standing. Just please don't do it while you're driving.
Yep.
And it pulls in multiple powerful ways of getting your neurophysiology on side, focused, grounded, calm, peaceful, like, in other words, you're honed in. It's like you set your intention and you are single-mindedly focused on your intention, and you have the energy and motivation to back you up. And I've literally taught this to top performers, athletes before they go on to compete, CEOs, anybody who has an important meeting coming up or job interview. This is something that you can do once you learn it yourself in like less than a minute. You can, like, before you go into an interview, you can be like, go find yourself a stairwell or a bathroom and do this technique, and boom, you're in there and you're in state, and they will notice. Everyone, including you, will notice.
Yeah, I felt it immediately. And I'm going to put a teaser. So we're going to do that closer to once we're into the interview. I think if you're open to it, it would be an amazing gift to everyone listening. And the reason I want to do a teaser on it is I want people to understand why. Because so many times when I work with clients, whether it's C-suite, board members, first line managers, individual contributors, I don't care what level they are, I don't have time. I'm not a good meditator. I'm in meetings all day. I don't have time for this. I'm back to back, blah, 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 right? There's so many, the tech is always on, never good enough, where we place you tomorrow. So there's this constant, like, if you could see me on video right now, and my hands gripping, I'm just like clenched up, this scarcity, reactive mode, fight or flight experience when you're not grounded, right? And so I say, you don't have time not to do this. And I'm always looking for ways to help my clients and even myself find those little tricks to allow myself to do it. And everyone always talks about breathing. And so, that's a go-to for people. Yeah, 3 deep breaths. But you know what? People don't even take 3 deep breaths anymore. Like, there's so much going on in the world today. So I want to do that. But what I'd like to do is better understand why this is so important. Like, why should somebody prioritize this? What will the impact be just for me? The 4 minutes we did was phenomenal. I was more clear. You and I were more aligned. We could jump right in. I also gave myself a moment to really visualize success for this interview. And I also allowed my body to regulate, because I get so, I use the word giddy, which cracks me up, but I get so excited. I could speak a mile a minute. And it helped me slow down a bit and get back into my body. So that was my own experience. But why does that matter? Why should people prioritize that? Tell us in your own experience and what with clients. You don't have time not to have time. Do you know?
So true. So true.
Yeah.
And so I want to start off by saying that I am all about helping people with, like, by showing them fast, easy tips and tools that they can use in the moment. Some people call me like the S.O.S doctor, right? In other words, it's because I get it. I've been there, right? Where I'm like,
yep,
I gotta go. And what do you mean meditate? I don't have time for that. I need sleep more than I need to meditate. And I don't even have time to sleep.
Yeah.
Right? Or you're too busy worrying and you're like, I can't think straight, or like I can't meditate because my monkey mind chatter is just going like with all the things that I have on my list, or the fear of like, oh my God, how am I going to pay my mortgage this month? Am I still going to have a job next week? Am I going to get sick, or my family going to get sick? Right? In other words, and what I have just mentioned are the top 2 ways that people show up in their stress. Dr. Richard Earl, who's one of the co-founders of the Hans Selye Foundation, and Dr. Hans Selye was the father of stress. He literally, he's the one who coined fight or flight. He's the one who described all of the physical effects of acute, intermediate, long-term stress on the body. And so Richard did research on over 200,000 subjects and found that there are 5 main, what he called stress types. And the top 2 are the worrywart and the speed freak.
I think, what if you're a worrywart and a speed freak?
Well, and we are combinations, right?
Yeah.
There is no either or. And most, all of us have one predominant stress type. So those are the two common. Out of the 5, those are the 2 most common. So the worrywart, who is, you could, if you want to talk in the flight or I can't even talk.
Fight or flight. Exactly. I do it too. Right? Yep. I do it too.
It's the freeze, like where they or like they've just like their minds are going a mile a minute, and at the same time they've ground to a halt, right?
Yeah.
It's like they're on the hamster wheel. They're expending all of this energy, mental, emotional energy, and physical, right? Because you're like this.
Yep.
That you're not getting anything done. You're paralyzed. And then you have the speed freak, and they're like, I got to do something. I got to make something happen right now. So I got the pedal to the metal, and I'm go, 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 go. Right? The challenge is that you're like a chicken with the head cut off. You're just like 0, 0, 0. Okay, like this didn't work. Okay, let's try this. Oh, that didn't work. Let's try this. Oh, that didn't work. Right? And so for those 2 people types, meditation is actually the last thing they need. This is the irony. I've been teaching meditation for over 30 years, and I'll be the first to say that meditation is not the first go-to. It's not like, hey man, let's relax.
Right?
Let's spend an hour just yeah, no.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
No.
I want to join you right here on this because this is so important. You just described tech, okay? Worrywart, speed freak. I want to really pull this through for anyone listening. Always on, never good enough, will replace you tomorrow. That's what we're talking about. And I've had my own experience as well as my clients with paralyzed. You just get stuck in there. You can't even find your car, me, in the parking lot. As well as there's a phrase we use all the time, ready, fire, aim, as well as spray and pray. Now, I think these are military terms. I didn't coin them up, but I hear it a lot in tech meetings. Oh, he's so ready, fire, aim, or, we'll just spray and pray and figure it out. So if you think about leading, vision setting, delegating, setting people up for success, if you're a worrywart or a speed freak, to use your terms, and you're trying to meditate, you're just making it worse, is what I'm hearing you say.
Oh yeah. So the worrywart may try, but they can't settle down. Right. And the speed freak doesn't even bother trying.
Yeah, that's someone else's problem to figure out, right? I'll just throw that ball back over the fence,
Right. Yep. In other words, they're like, I don't have time to do that. Forget that. That's garbage. Right. So it doesn't take long to get to the place of being able to meditate. And there are other key steps that need to happen first.
Okay, let's get right to it. Let's help them. Let's not leave them hanging on this one. So if you're a worrywart or you're a speed freak, what do you do?
Okay, so here's what everybody needs to do first. And I'm going to back up and say that stress impacts your brain like as if you've given yourself a frontal lobotomy. Literally, it's like you have a functional brain injury. And as you mentioned, is like one of my specialties is traumatic brain injury. Well, this is a different type of trauma, right? Yeah. This is mental trauma and emotional. It doesn't have to be just physical. And so what happens in stress is that your ability of your prefrontal cortex, which is right behind your forehead here, all of it basically gets wiped out. Now, your prefrontal cortex is your executive team. It's your decision making. It's your logic. It's your creativity. It's your motivation. It's your emotional inhibition. In other words, like if you find yourself crying at the drop of a hat or flying off the handle at your coworkers or your family, the issue is the stress. Right. So in other words, it's like, so in other words, you become like this, when you take out your executive team, you end up reverting back to your primitive.
Totally makes sense.
Right. So, and that is why, and we're all hardwired in a different way. There is no right or wrong. Right. In other words, think of it like a gazelle, when it's faced with danger, it runs. That's what it's hardwired to do, because that's what it's best at. A tiger or a lion, when it's faced with danger, it attacks. Right? A rabbit freezes, or a deer freezes. Right? In other words, it's not right or wrong. It's just, it's meant to happen for a very short time, and then you release, right? Like the gazelle starts being chased by a lion, and within a matter of minutes, it's either going to be dead, unfortunately, or it outruns the lion.
Yeah.
Right. And then when it outruns the lion, preferably, well, I guess depending on whether you're the lion or the gazelle,
right.
Within a matter of minutes, like something like less than 20 minutes, that gazelle is back to grazing and drinking water, and it's, in other words, it's done.
Yep.
Right. We are the only animals, unless it's artificially induced in them, like in research, we're the only animals with our ability to think that, and our society, that the stress goes on and on and on. It's like the gift that keeps on giving, in like the not the nicest way, right? And so when you're worrying, we may have like, I think it's like 100,000 thoughts a day, and we may spend, and I was raised by two of the best warriors on the planet that could make Mount Everest out of a molehill, and research shows that you don't worry about a million different things. You typically worry about 3 to 5 different things, right? So when you can deal with those, and I'm going to come back to that, just saying, like, so there's the worry ward. And then, so that is one thing that needs to happen with the worry ward before all else.
The one thing that has to happen is to recognize,
is to help them deal with their 3 to 5 main worries. I'm going to back up, and that's Dr. Richard Earls. I'm going to take it one step further and say the best, fastest way to get your executive team back in action and get them, kickstart them again, is doing 2 simple things. Number 1, creating a vision, creating a goal, revisiting it if you've had them in the past. And this is something that all of us need to do, including our listeners, because guaranteed nobody expected last year, or hardly anybody, right? So in other words, if you had goals, if you had visions, probably got sidetracked, and it's about getting them back on side, right? And getting yourself back on track. And the reason why that's important is that on functional MRI, they show that when you create a goal, the farther out, the better. It lights up your prefrontal cortex.
So let me get this straight. So if I'm a worry wart and I want my executive team to come back, so I'm showing up either angry or scared or constricted, or, scarcity mindset, which worry warts have, right? So I'm running back to back in tech. Everything's going crazy. I'll call it Silicon Valley-itis. What I'm hearing you say is, in order to bring your prefrontal cortex back, to be able to light it back up, to be able to actually access your executive function, right? Your executive team, is it to create a goal, focus on a goal, remind yourself of the goal? What's the specific thing that they should do that will bring them back into that space to light that back up?
If you don't have a vision or a goal, create one. And that vision, I shouldn't say we all know what a goal is. A goal is supposed to be smart, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, or realistic, and time bound, right? Yeah. A vision is something beyond that, right? It's not time bound. It is, and the best way, and Harvard researcher showed that the farther out you create the goal, the better. In fact, the more successful you'll be. So I teach my clients how to do what I call their legacy vision.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that, having worked with so many people at the end of their life, we look at the pain point first.
Right.
And go, the predominant emotion that most people have at their end of their life is remorse. Mm-hmm. Remorse that they didn't do or experience everything they wanted to. Why? Because of fear. Absolutely. Because of the lack of belief that they could do it, or that they were afraid of what others might think, or that they would lose relationships, which is another form of fear. Mm-hmm. So it's looking at that legacy vision, and I call it that. Like, in other words, how do you want to be remembered? End of your life, or beyond. That makes sense. Right? What do you want to contribute to the world, which is also the legacy? Right? So and that actually pulls in your purpose. And your core values, which is the next thing that is the most important thing. That, again, on functional MRI, when you combine the vision with the why, your prefrontal cortex just lights up totally.
Yep, that makes total sense.
You add in that why, right? And there's that contribution. It doesn't have to be like Gandhi or Mandela or Martin Luther King, although I'm going to challenge everybody listening to this that, if you suddenly had a thought of, well, who am I to do that? That's not me. Who are you not to do it?
Totally.
You're just as special as Mandela, Gandhi, Martin Luther King. Right?
Yeah. I want to join you for a second here, because this is, I want to highlight for people listening. A lot of times I talk with my clients, and myself too, is like, what's your brand? So how do people feel when they're around you? How do how do you show up under stress? What is your, how articulate are you about your vision and your values? And I see this tying so nicely here, because yes, create a goal. What I really heard is have a vision, right? And yes, create a goal to get to the vision. So what's the next right step? What can you do right now? Also, what's your why? What is the impact you want to leave? Why are you in this job? And there's so many times people, start a company, all these startups, right? I'm doing it because I want to make a difference. And then you end up treating your people like crap. You're stressing them out all the time. You're not hiring to the plan. People are telling you something's broken. You don't want to hear it because your ego is now driving. You're not doing anybody any service. Your whole why is getting mucked up because you're not clear anymore. And the outside things are just piling on you. And so one of the things that for me, and I know Dr. Irene and I have talked about our own burnout experience. For me, I want to highlight what you're saying is so important. And I haven't heard it the way you've said it before. So I'm excited for people to hear this, because it was really about, how do I want to feel as I'm living my life? And how do I want others to feel as they're interacting with me? That was like the basis, right? For me, I think we're saying the same thing, and just a different kind of nuance to it. And the science behind what you're saying is actually, it puts a smile on my face. I guess I intuitively felt that for myself, that when I was clear on how I wanted to feel, and I made choices to align with my values and my desired feelings, as well as how I wanted people to feel interacting with me, I think that's how I got my executive functioning back. And I never understood that until right now. Am I hearing you? Am I getting it? Okay.
You're getting it.
This is amazing. Everybody, this is amazing, because you have the power to bring it back. It's not outside of you. Right. And so when we have these data, 70% of professionals feel their employers are not doing enough to prevent or alleviate burnout. This was a Deloitte study, right? 21% of respondents say their company's not offering programs or initiatives. Guess what? That may be true. And employers, listen up. It needs to be addressed. Have Dr. Irene come in, and for those of you that feel like you have no choice, you absolutely do. And that's, I think, if we go back to when we started, when you did the 4-minute thing with me, was we made a conscious choice to prioritize something so that we could be our best. And this is about a personal choice, getting clear on your values, knowing your why, and then acting in alignment with that. And when you're not, heads up, red alert, that's a moment of reflection and pause. So I just, I got it all just, whoop, I got the download again, and here we are. And so I wanted to say to you, I heard, if you're the worrywart and you're paralyzed, you're going to create your vision. You're going to come up with your why. That's something you can control and own, and like reconnect with that to bring your executive team back. Let's talk about the speed freaks for a second, if I can, and then we'll pull it together, because I think there's a worrywart in all of us. At least I see that in my clients. The speed freak is also rampant in tech. Back-to-back meetings, go, 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 just get it done. If that's not good, go to the next thing. It's almost like a frenetic energy. And I believe part of that has to do with the way that tech has created these cultures of the always on, never good enough, will replace you tomorrow. I think that apps up your adrenaline and your fear, and then you're already back to your fight, flight, or freeze. And so the environment, like, let's talk about the people, let's define speed freak and talk about what can a speed freak do for themselves to get centered again in this when they catch themselves doing it. I'd love to know more.
And that is, I loved your summary.
Why, thank you. That's as a host, right? Yes. I'm trying to do my part because you're the one with the knowledge here, but thank you.
Well, and I'm free flowing. I didn't make notes and come with anything prepared. So that's exactly this is all off the top of my head.
If you and I were drinking coffee or tea or a margarita or whatever, sitting on the couch with a bottle of wine, this is the conversation we'd be having. And that's why I think people tune in. They don't want prepared. They want real. Do you know? And prepared sometimes takes away the realness. So you can count on me to summarize. You free flow and I'll get you there. We're a team.
Would you like to finish up the worrywart before we?
Oh, I thought we were done with the worrywart.
No. Those.
Let's complete the worrywart.
And I will. I'm going to preface by saying those first two steps I have added before Dr. Richard's prescriptions, as he called them, stress scripts, and that is so all of us need to get back in touch, if we didn't have one before. What is your vision and what is your purpose? Choose your purpose. What is your raison d'etre in French? I think it's called ikigai in Japanese. In other words, what's your reason for getting up in the morning? And it doesn't have to be like monumental. It could be a grandmother who wants to be there for her grandchildren, right? Or, you have children of your own and you want to be there for them. In other words, what are your core values and what is your purpose? Choose it. It's not about finding your purpose.
Okay, mic drop. Do it again. Say that again. That alone should be the title of the next book. Okay, say it again. Choose your purpose.
Choose your purpose. It's not about finding it.
Okay, everybody listening, I want you to grab a pen or a pencil. I'm not kidding. I don't care if you text it to yourself. I find so many people stuck in their lives because they're trying to find their purpose. They're finding it. I'm going to find it. That implies you don't already have it in your soul. That implies you don't already have some semblance of it. That implies that it's, it's not yours to own. Dr. Irene just said, I'm writing it down. Choose your purpose, not find it. Because your purpose can change. We evolve, right? Am I getting it right? Because we evolve. My purpose when I was in my 20s is way different than in my 50s. Let's be very clear about that. Fundamentally, my values stayed the same, but my purpose, having a podcast and, keeping it real, that is way different than at 20, trying to get in the lane and make sure everybody, I fit in really well and I could just get that job and pay those bills and, go travel. Way different. Now I'm like, nope, my nose is pierced. I drop an F-bomb. I'm going to be myself. right? So the evolution. So choose your purpose. It can change, but choose it.
Okay. And that's one thing I work with my clients on, is helping them get crystal clear on what their core values are. And as you said, those can change. And then making sure that your vision and purpose align with those core values. And if you're in doubt of what your purpose is, if you're having trouble choosing it, look outside yourself. Look outside yourself, because the world needs you, right? Especially in this day and age, we tend, again, it's a survival mode. It's not right or wrong. It's not being selfish or self-centered. Most of us are mired in what's in it for me. Who's going to screw me? How am I going to get hurt? Right? I need to look out for myself because nobody else is. Right? And when you're in that place, the fastest way to get yourself out of it and to, I'll say that again, I'm going to be ad nauseum here, choose your purpose, is how can I help the world? How can I help my family? How can I help my community? How can I help my country? How can I help the world? Right? Yeah. And fundamentally, I'm going to back up even further and say that most of us feel out of control right now. We're feeling victimized by life, like life is being done to us. And yes, life has adversity. Life is always going to throw you curveballs. Yes, there are certain things that are outside your control, and you could drive yourself absolutely batty with conspiracy theories or whatever. And you still have the responsibility to create your life. You still have the responsibility to create your life. You are responsible for your life. Yes. And I always get pushback on this until I explain why, because it's that you have the ability, responsibility is literally the ability to respond to whatever is happening to you. Yes. So you may not be able to control outside circumstances, and you still have the ability to choose, there's that word again, how you are going to respond and use that experience. And one of my heroes is Dr. Viktor Frankl. Okay, you had me at Dr. Viktor Frankl, of course. Yeah. Who was a 4-time, not New York Times bestseller. Actually, I think he did have a couple of those. He survived 4 Holocaust death camps. In other words, he experienced the worst dehumanization, degradation, humiliation, fear of like constant threat of death, lost his family, right? You know, just about, you want to talk about out of control with their outside circumstances. And yet he said, everything can be taken from a man but one thing, his ability to think and respond in any given situation. So that is our superpower. So yes, the first step, I'm gonna take back everything I just said. The first step is waking up to the awareness that you do have choice and control in any situation. It may not be the choice and control you want, and you have the choice and control over how you are going to think and respond in any given situation. In other words, your mindset. Crap can happen. It's going to happen. And the reality is we need adversity in our lives to hone our mental and emotional character. And the reason why the past year or so has thrown everyone for a loop is that unless you're over the age of 75, you have not experienced this level of global unrest, uncertainty, crisis, like since the Second World War. We as a culture and individually have not experienced this level of adversity. And unless you come from a war-torn country or a third world country where, you know, it's fighting for survival still.
Yeah.
Here in North America, we've had it in a way too good.
Yeah, I want to just say with you here, when we think about tech, and I say this over and over, I'm you know, always on, never good enough, will replace you tomorrow. That is a Viktor Frankl situation, not your job today. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I might piss some people off right now because listen, you got to pay the bills. I get it. And there are always ways to make money here. There are always ways to figure it out. You are a resilient, amazing, worthy human being to be treated with respect, to be able to take your paid time off, to be able to check out at night and be with your family. And who's making the rules in your life? Because what Dr. Irene's talking about, what I'm hearing loud and clear, is about choice. And I believe that once you get into this machine called tech, you forget that you have a choice. You look at the hierarchy and you see what's working for other people. And it's the people that give their lives to tech that get promoted, that get more visibility, that get all the attaboys and the attagirls, if there's a few attagirls going on, because it's usually attaboys. And listen, that's a whole other web podcast. To stay focused on what we're talking about, I'll go back to Silicon Valley-itis. I'll go back to the start where we're talking about you have a choice and a responsibility, right? You have one life as far as we know right now. And the way you're showing up and the choices you're making to go into that back-to-back meeting, not prepared mentally, to go 4 hours without a drink of water or stretching your legs, to not remind yourself about your vision, your mission, your goals, your values, to be love expressed in a way that elevates humanity. I mean, that's your job description. Your job description is to live your best life and not be stuck in a mindset that doesn't serve you or those that you love and lead. Like, that's your job. So whether you've started this company and you've lost sight of it because you're worried about everything and you're just dumping crap on people, today's the day. Today's the day. Enough is enough. Whether you're the frontline individual contributor who just wants recognition for all that degrees that you have, and you just want to show that you're worthy and valued, you are, right? And you still get to choose to have a boundary about your work-life integration, because I say balance is bullshit. It's all about choosing. You still have a choice to sit here and decide what are your values and what is that legacy you want to leave? How do you want people to feel around you? Do they want to experience you as worrywart and speed freak? Or do you want them to experience you as grounded and intentional, right? With perspective. And that's what today's about. And Dr. Irene, I know we have so much more to say, but I promised them that we would get this moment with you. And I'd really like to see if we could have that moment. And before we get to that moment, because I feel like that's a really great way to let them settle. And I don't want to talk too much after that because I want them to really experience it. And there's two questions that I always ask. One is, when you want to raise your energy or your vibration or help yourself, maybe we're going to talk about lighting up your executive team, the prefrontal cortex, your executive function, is that what's your go-to song? Because one thing I'm very clear on is that songs have an ability on your entire experience. And I'm building a playlist, and I would love to know what your song is.
Well, I have so many songs I love because I'm a music geek. And my favorite song is Take the Weather With You by Crowded House.
I don't think I know this one.
That's why I chose that
Okay,
one.
Take the Weather With You by, okay, I'm writing it down.
Yeah.
Yep.
Crowded House.
Tell me why.
Because it's my personal philosophy, right? That everyone is focused on the negative And I live in Canada, so in the northern, where we have, just had a snowstorm, and it
Yeah.
can be dreary, and it's the perfect analogy to me of how we are in our lives. Like when I say choice and control, and choosing on how to be grateful for adversity, because that has enabled me to grow more and to be more. It's the same with the weather, right? So many people is like, oh, it's raining, it's cloudy, oh, I'm down. And I'm not
Oh,
making fun of you. It's a fact, right?
yeah.
Whereas I love, one of my favorite things, again, in Canada, we're not allowed to travel right now. And when I do get on a plane, and no matter how stormy it is down on the ground, I love when the plane breaks through the clouds and you see that sea of sunshine all around you, right? In other words, the sun is always shining up above the clouds. So take the weather with you is all about choosing, right? Or take the
Oh,
sunshine with you.
I love this so much. I love this so much. I've done that flight, not from Canada per se, but I've been to Canada, right? But when you get above the clouds,
Mhm.
when you get above the clouds, wow. Okay, everybody, take the weather with you. And then my other question for you, Dr. Irene, before we give them the gift of you, how can people find you if they want to know more? Like I went on Insight Timer and I found you. I looked up Dr. Irene Cop and I was like, there she is. This is amazing. Do you want people to find you on LinkedIn? Do you want them to find you on your website? I don't know, Instagram, whatever. Like tell people how to find you to get more, because there's so much. We haven't even, they say scratch the surface. Heck no. We've like put a drop in the ocean. There's so much more here, and I want to make sure they can find you. So what do you suggest?
Probably the easiest is my website, www.drirenecop.com, DRIRENECOP.com.
Perfect. And everyone cop is just like cop, like
As in
police,
police.
right? Yeah, it's not some funky name where you're like, oh, I won't spell it right. Nope, Irene is spelled the way you think, as is cop. And you put the doctor in front of it, and boom, here we are. Okay, so everybody, if you're driving, don't do this. Pause this, get to a place. I don't care if you pull over to the parking lot of a Walgreens or whatever, right? But be stationary. I'm going to do it again too, because it's so good, and I'm going to be quiet, and I'm going to let Dr. Irene just end today on such a wonderful note, so you can be present for the moments that matter. So yes, it's all yours, Dr. Irene.
Love to. I will preface and say that when I did this for Lisa and myself earlier, I mentioned that, yes, it is a form of meditation. It's active meditation that requires you to hold a certain position, because it's all about getting your neurophysiology on side, right? So getting your prefrontal cortex on side, getting your peripheral and central nervous systems working coherently. And I've taught this to top CEOs, athletes, performers before they go on to perform or compete. It's all about how you can get centered and grounded immediately, like within less than a minute once you learn how to do it. Okay?
Great.
Alrighty. So we're gonna get you into it's kind of like the twister thing, the pose. So the first pose is put your left foot over your right.
Left over, right? Okay.
And extend your arms out in front of you, palms facing outwards, right hand over the left, interlace your fingers up and under your chin. In other words, bring them up under your chin. If you find this hard to do because of wrist pain or something, just cross your right arm over your left. And it's the crossing that is the most important. Take the tip of your tongue and place it on the roof of your mouth in the midline. And close your eyes if you're able to. And think of an intention or vision that is important to you. It may be that you want to support your family in the best way possible. Maybe you want to be productive and results oriented to the max. In other words, just where's your focus? And add in your why. Why is this important to you? Maybe it's an interview you want to ace, massive project you have coming along. Why? Why is it important to you? I want you to set an intention that starts with I am, and add in the emotion, a positive emotion. It could be I'm happy, I'm grateful, I'm jazzed, I'm excited. So it may be, I'm so jazzed that I was promoted to that position that I really want. And I know that I'm amazing at, and I can help lead so many people so well through it. And now visualize that you have a nose on the bottom of each foot. And breathe in through your left foot. Draw your breath all the way up your left leg, up your spine to the top of your head. And release your breath back down your right leg and out your right foot. Breathe in through your right foot all the way up your spine to the top of your head and hold it. And repeat your intention to yourself as you exhale out the left foot. Breathing in through your left foot all the way up to the top of your head and hold it. And repeat your intention to yourself as you exhale out the right foot. And one more time, drawing your breath and energy all the way up to the top of your head and hold it. And slowly release it down through your left foot as you repeat your intention. Now releasing your feet position, place them flat on the floor, releasing your hand position, bringing them together, fingertips touching, palms separate in steeple position. Breathing in through both feet all the way up to the top of your head and hold it. And repeat your intention to you as you exhale back through both feet. Drawing your breath up to the top of your head and hold it. And repeat your intention as you exhale. One more time, breathing in all the way up to the top of your head and hold it. And release it back down and out your feet as you repeat your intention one last time. And releasing your hand position. Allow yourself to reorient to the present as you open your eyes. Feeling calm, centered, focused, and ready to take on the world.
Dr. Irene, thank you for that. What a gift and what a great way to end our session. For those of you listening today, there are so many tips we shared. Whatever resonates with you, please take it and run with it, because they're all here for you. Share this with those that you know and love who could use a 4-minute, intentional moment for themselves. And remember, you have a choice. And if you want any more information on Dr. Irene, drirenecop.com. Make it a great day, everybody. Thank you so much, Dr. Irene.
Thank you for having me here, Lisa.
That was great content, but let's be honest. If you don't get the support you need and start making changes in your life and work as a leader in tech, you can expect regret and burnout in the near future. Lisa can help you get kick-ass results at work without burning out, so you can be present for the moments that matter to you and your loved ones. Take your first step at rebootwithlisa.com.